Yo, yo, yo. Yo. Welcome to the small group that gets the alpha. Welcome to Tusk Talk Fridays. I'm excited about this one. There's some juicy announcements and some more pivoting. And I'm really happy with it. I'm really happy with what I've gotten done here in the last couple of days with this next pivot that is nowhere, no one even knows what I'm about to talk about today. But I'm excited about it because it's another revenue opportunity for us other than the DEX. We'll talk a little bit about Glacier today. We'll talk a little bit about some other stuff. I'll say that. So I guess we'll let some more people come in here. Dylan, I know that your basement flooded. How are you?
I'm eating spaghetti.
Oh, is your basement still flooded?
Hell yeah.
So Dylan's not having a good day. But that's okay. He's here. He's on Tusk Talk Fridays. He's having a better day now. So we're going to cover Glacier 5. We're going to talk about the current conditions and why you shouldn't really worry too much about it if you're long on Frozen Walrus, and I'll explain why. And then I'll make some announcements about what we're going to be doing for the future. So also the pet campaign. So let's start with the pet campaign.
Hey, Austin.
Yeah.
Your mic keeps cutting in and out really bad.
Hold on. Maybe it's the... Hold on. I'll fix it. Let me pause, Walter. All right. It should be good. Can you hear me good now? All right. So let's talk about the pet campaign first. The pet campaign will end. We will remove taxes, and we will let the price settle itself. I've went back and forth on the pet campaign V2. And the problem that we will get from the PEG campaign V2 is that it will just add more walrus share from the treasury. And people will do the exact same thing they've been doing with the AVAX rewards. And that's not reinvesting. It's one of those things that I'm glad that we tried it. I think that it had its needed place. And the PEG campaign cost us $200,000. The good news is it really doesn't concern me because of what we have coming. And I just want to end it. And if it wants to capitulate, if Walrus capitulates, then the next steps of what I'm doing doesn't matter. I'll just own more of the float until I own it all. And that's okay with me. And so that's kind of the angle I'm taking at this point, is that I do have revenue streams coming in. We will have a balancer DEX that I plan on making blue chip. I plan on it with a couple different ways. And it's important to know that I think we talked about it a little bit, that there was a lot of suggestions about Walrus and Glacier. Glacier will be a product of Frozen Walrus, but to make it as big as it needs to be, it can't be so in line or so integrated that people that are just using the DEX to use it as a DEX are taking a service fee to sacrifice to Walrus or Walrus assets. Now, that doesn't mean that we won't find intricate, fun ways to involve Walrus, and obviously those are the pools that we're going to be boosting because we own the liquidity, we own the DEX, we own everything. So that's really not a concern. But I just wanted to make that clear. But anyway, the pet campaign did great for a little while there. It started getting gamed, and we had to make some rash decisions. And altogether, it was a learning experience for me. Is that when you give people free money, it doesn't mean that they're going to invest back to you, and that's okay. I'm not mad about it. It came out. A lot of people made really good money off of the pay campaign for the last 2.5, 3 weeks. And that's great. I'm happy for each and every one of you. But we still have Walrus to fix, right? And not fix because there's something fundamentally wrong with it. Fixing this in the terms of like why people aren't seeing the long-term vision and what we're going to be doing. So firstly, Glacier Finance is going to be a balancer style DEX. And what that means is that anybody can set up a pool there, but we'll have core pools that are boosted with our Glacier emissions. And then also the thing that you need to know and why these balancer DEXs make so much in fees and generate so much is that say we have an 8 pool token right? Say we have ETH, AVAX, a ton of shit, just all in one, and then someone's really lazy and only has AVAX. If they choose to get into that pool with just their AVAX, the DEX itself will then buy the rest of the tokens from your original AVAX. So we'll get swap fees on those 7 different transactions. And so that's really why a balancer style fork is really cool. And so people that were talking about, with this Walrus share thing, being so spooked about it, or people selling the news or whatever else, it's weird to me, because you don't need to put any upfront capital to add to the Walrus share USDC.E pool. You can just use your Walrus share you currently own, and it'll just take 20% of it and buy USDC. And then that will be auto compounding in a vault that Magic gives us, and it'll be selling the Glacier token to buy more Walrus share LP. It's truly a positive for Walrus share, if anything. So you personally don't have to add anything to your investment. You get the upside because you're in an 80-20 pool, not in a 50-50 pool, so it doesn't dampen your upside. So the entire sell-off of Walrus share seems silly to me, but I can't make markets move, and I can't make, and I understand that people want more clarity in things, but you have to understand that, when I make these decisions and I pivot, it takes a bit of an executive decision by me to make these calls. Is it beneficial for Frozen Walrus? How fast does it need to be implemented? And what does it save? And that's what I have to do. I have to make these decisions, and I understand that they're rash, but if I made everything, like in a blue chip, if somebody was doing this, if a protocol lead was constantly making decisions and changing, like in Trader Joe, it would be bad. But we're in a nano cap project. I have to do things to protect the protocol, right? I have to make these rash decisions sometimes. And so I understand what what the complaints are, but that doesn't mean that I can just change them. I have to do this kind of things. I have to pivot and find new ways, because the O2 fork model does not work as it stands. And that's basically because of the psychology of DeFi. So I have to find ways to, restart emissions, to restart sentiment, to allow for the protocol to work in a different way. So yeah, the pet campaign will end by the end of this weekend. We're going to shoot for Sunday, and we will make a 24-hour announcement, and then we will remove taxes at that time. Again, if Walrus dumps, that's okay. I'm okay with that, because we have a potential from liquidity migration, from heavily incentivized pools, from a lot of other things. Like the Treasury may invest in Walrus just because we know that the longevity is there. Right. And there's a couple different things that are going to start producing some different waves of excitement. And one of those being Glacier. And then another one that I'll announce later. But specifically for Glacier, we have a smaller team here. And I knew that I wanted something bigger because I wanted this to be a bigger project. I knew I needed more devs, more hands-on. And so bringing in new devs is a very stressful situation for me because I don't trust a lot of people. But I've actually teamed up with a team that I'm very happy with. I like them a lot. And their devs are going to come in and help in this process. And they're going to help with tokenomics. They're going to help with dev work and a lot of other things. So without me just dancing around it, I am bringing in the Magic team, which would be Avery, Jimmy, Owen, and Vincent. And they will be developing it as advisors on this protocol, and they will help me build this to a full-scale balancer fork that can be used in Trader Joe whenever, or not in Trader Joe, but to compete with Trader Joe. Owen was telling me, he said, let's not build a fork that we don't think can compete on AVAX. There's no balancer fork on AVAX. Let's push it. Let's make it something that does compete with the current market conditions of Trader Joe and all the other dexes. We have the capacity, we have the team, we have the community, quite honestly, and it only gets better, right? So, so Magic team, everybody welcome them aboard. I'll probably make them core team members here pretty soon. I guess I can go ahead and start. I know Avery's in here. I'm going to make his color change. He's everybody on that team is extremely good. And honestly, Owen is next level with tokenomics and understanding the fundamentals at play. He's extremely intelligent. and Jimmy can help a lot with the back end contracts. And so him, Jumpman will be working extensively together to produce something very special. And if you didn't know, Vincent is an absolute mythical beast when he finds exploits in contracts. So he will be working on finding and pen testing all of our contracts to make sure that it's secure when you guys start using it. So it's going to be a dream, a very good, solid, hopefully perfect launch with a few different tokenomic structures than maybe if you're comparing us to Equinox, it may be a little bit different. There's a couple of things that will drastically change so that, that I think that we can expand. So with that said, welcome the beautiful Magic team, and thank you guys for coming aboard. I appreciate it a lot. Yes, Dylan?
Do you know what Avery does? Can somebody tell me finally?
What do you mean?
I just want to know what his job is.
What do you mean? He's Avery.
Someone fucking tell me.
What do you fucking mean? Who's your least
God
favorite Magic team member? Jesus Christ. Let's start some of that drama automatically. But no, so their team's coming aboard. So now we have for sure at least 8 members that are going to be working hand in hand on Glacier to market it, to build the tokenomics, to build the contracts, and to make it a very solid project. Yeah. So with that being said, there is something else coming out this month, quite soon. And it'll be accepting your favorite tokens. So recently there was a lot of hype about our NFTs, which are completely complete, paid for, and I have 10,000 of them. In fact, if you're not watching the YouTube, I'm going to show the alpha of all 10,000 and scroll through them real quick. Boop, 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 boop. Giving the alpha, and I'm dropping it off. So we have 10,000 NFTs and they're just sitting here. We were waiting for a partnership, but that partnership could still be. I'm still in communications with them, but the problem is that it is GameFi, and it's another thing that we would have to manage. And I found a way that we can use them in a very lucrative sense for you as investors, and then for us as the treasury. So we have, and I don't think he's in here right now, but he will be a part of our team coming up soon. C17, who is a great mod, who's been a community member here forever. He lives in the NZ, and he has access to facilities very close to him. And this has all been confirmed. So, and again, there'll be a full white paper for it. These NFTs are going to be minted quite soon for you. And we are going to start our own club with our NFTs. And these NFTs will be given to the entire funding will be given to KDA miners, Kadena miners. And these Kadena miners can be scaled drastically based on the demand and what we do with them. So these NFTs, again, will be monthly voted on for if you want to compound into a new miner, or if you want to if you want to distribute those to the holders, and then we'll do an airdrop for all 10,000 NFTs based on how much we made. So I have projections of what we could see, and those will all be in the white paper. I also have what we could, and I can speak a little bit about this. So we're actually going to accept Walrus or Walrus Share LP for the mint. And we'll take that USDC and then, of course, give out the, and then we'll keep the rest in the treasury. So the Walrus or the Walrus Share we'll keep in there. So they're actually going to be mint prices. There's going to be 4 phases. There's going to be 2,500 mints per phase. And then the mint price will be $100 to start with, 125, 150, and 200 on phase 4. These are not supposed to mint out in a day. They're not supposed to be like some hyped up thing. We will do things each phase. But realistically, just to let you guys know, on the first one, we would purchase all of our miners with the first 2,500 mints. We'll actually have a farm, which is 18 KD miners. And they'll have a certain percentage of what we can produce. And these miners are actually cheaper right now because we're in a bear market. So just say that we'll have 250,000 LP, $250,000 worth of LP just on phase 1 mint. Phase 2 would be 312,000. Phase 3 would be 375,000. and then phase 4 would be 500,000 for a total of 1.4 million. 1.4 million LP would be given up if we do it in this structure, which of course everything's subject to change. But regardless, you could imagine how much of our LP we would own over time. And then you as investors would obviously, the amount of NFTs you get, these NFTs are beautiful, but these NFTs would start producing passive income for quite some time. So, you know, if we own the float by the end of it, hell yeah, that's great. I would love to own the float. Yeah, so regardless, so say we use Walrus Share, just as an example, why I would use Walrus Share LP. Me and Owen were talking about it, is that realistically, by the end of this, the Treasury would own the entire float of Walrus Share. So we would restart emissions almost at that point. So it's very powerful, and we can market the hell out of these. These are very popular, these clubs of minting and then doing miners. But just realistically, for our first farm, right, KDA is around the $2 or $3 mark. So let's see where we'd be. So with the 18 KD 6 miners, with the facility and everything, it cost about $180K to get this farm, one farm, right? That would be about $211 per day, right? If we mint out and get like the 1.4 million, and I have a couple different structures how I want to do it, but let's just say realistically, we have about 600,000 that we start with. One farm's only 180K. So if we minted out and we only had the 600K, we could realistically get another 2 or 3 farms. So you as users, if we're not compounding, just base fees without compounding at all, that's about 293 times 3, 600 a day times 30. That's about 26K a month for you as investors in the Walrus Club, right? So it gets very powerful for how much we can produce, and that's with KDA being extremely low. Now give it a bull run, and if it were to hit $4, and he also has the mining difficulty in here as well. But realistically, if KDA got into a bull run scenario in a year and hit like $16, it would be about $686, and that's with one farm. That's $686 a day with one farm. So if we had 3 farms at that time, that's $2,000 a day. That's 61K a month. So realistically, you can imagine just how powerful this can really get. So I'm very happy. And again, that's why I don't care really about what the price of Walrus is, because if we mint these out and we can push these, not only would the Treasury own most of the float, but investors that are still in, right, are going to see large price appreciation over time because there's real value in buying these. And again, all this will be detailed. We have the facilities and the means to set this up within 5 days, and I already have the contract. I already have the NFT, so I can set the contracts up at any time. So let me stop there. I know we only have 52 listening, which is hilarious. This is like one of the biggest announcements we can make. And I want to make sure that nobody has questions about this specifically.
Not So Savvy was asking, what would that be per NFT?
So it really depends, because the KDA that we get, if we choose to compound it that month, it would go into their staking contract, and KDA has their own self-funded staking contract. So we would just be parking it there until we can get our next miner. But it depends, because a lot of people are going to choose to compound during this bear market so that they appreciate, because the value of the NFTs will start going up the more miners that we have and the more that they can potentially produce, right? So it could start out roughly right now, one miner produces about 30 to 40% APR. But obviously with compounding, our original investment into these would go up substantially over the course of the couple years.
That 26,000 quote you gave, that was phase 1, right?
No.
That's full mint.
So if we mint out phase 1, 2,500 NFTs in the current structure that I have it at $100 price point, we would, so 10% of all mints is protocol owned liquidity. So I'm taking 10% right off the top, and we will keep it as forever protocol and liquidity, which by the end of the mint would be about 144K of the protocol owning it. So the others we actually split so that we can get the USDC, because we have to pay, obviously, to upkeep these. That's about 112,000 during phase 1 that we would get. We would pretty much buy all of our first farm with that. And with our first farm, that means 18 KDE miners, which is roughly about, at current prices, $211 a day. So at first, our first phase 1 mint, of course, we will be earning, but it won't be anywhere near as drastic as when we phase out all 4 phases. So that's about $6,000 a month. But again, the scalability of this, once we completely mint out, say it even takes a year to mint out, right? We would still own close to like 3 or 4 farms at that point, potentially even more, depending on the compounding and everything else. So, 4 farms producing, even at the bare minimum of what we're supposed to be producing now with current prices and hash rates and everything, that would be roughly about 25K a month. And then there's 10,000 NFTs, so you can do the math about what we would be receiving. Yes.
Life of
Heckman.
Okay.
Correct.
You saw that?
Heckman, that is correct. We have that as so in the document that I'm even looking at right now, we use that. We have fees to buy upgraded miners and also maintenance on the miners. So funds to get the miners come from current treasury? No. Funds from this come from the minting of the NFTs. At least 2,500, Ramon. At least 2,500 to get at least the first batch of miners and get the fees of leasing and setting up the cooling and everything in New Zealand. So yeah, so just to be clear, what this does is not only take a large quantity of walrus out of circulation or walrus share out of circulation and drastically boost frozen walrus and its ecosystem, but these are really hands off of frozen walrus after that. We have a 6%, what do you call it? A royalty fee, a 6% royalty fee, and 4% of that fee goes straight to the treasury. The other 2% buys and burns walrus. So there is a royalty fee on it. So it is revenue for the treasury even after we mint out. But even past that, of course, Frozen Walrus will buy some of these so that we can have our own set. Yes, Heckman, if you didn't hear me, we will take 6% royalties. 4% of that goes straight to the revenue or straight to the treasury as revenue. And then 2% goes to allocation of buying walrus and burning it.
Disco Chuck said, is that including electrical costs?
That's including everything, yes. So I can actually show you guys. I'll share my screen right now on YouTube if you're not watching. Let me zoom this in a little bit. So if you're not looking, oh, that's not showing everything. Let me make this show everything. So yeah, this is kind of what you can expect. So this is completely revenue for you as an investor for using the protocol owned assets you already have if you're still invested, of course, and then giving you a long-term outlook. Like these miners are, KDA is a really good platform. It's a really good blockchain. Some big builders are on it. And so we have to be at least halfway bullish by hopefully next bear that it's at least still here in the same price range, which is currently 1.58. But obviously, if we're doing all of this now and prepping for the next bull run in a year, 2 years, whatever it takes, this is complete passive income for you all as investors. And then for Frozen Walrus, of course, we do a complete supply shock and drastically reduce the amount that is circulating out there. And then also there's other people that are going to be coming in and buying Walrus to get into it. But Magic Owen is here on stage right now because now he can do that because he's part of the core team. So welcome,
DeFi
Owen.
is alive.
DeFi is alive. Yeah, so
What's up,
there,
guys?
so there's a lot to be talked about. Yes, Avery, you can also come up now. Big mistake.
I didn't ask for permission. I noticed you gave me permission, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna let you finish.
So right now, you know, it could look dark and gloomy, but it's just an accumulation phase, right? Like if you actually believe in this stuff, like because we're gonna produce it regardless if you believe it or not. It's all about your risk management and what you see as value, because these assets will do ups and downs, and we are bringing in real revenue. Now we have Glacier Fi, which we will get a percentage of that. Will obviously benefit Frozen Walrus Treasury, and then now these will also benefit Frozen Walrus Treasury. So any way you look at it, we are getting real sustainable revenue. And this isn't the only thing that we're doing. It's just the two that are notable. And these could mint out as early as next weekend, depending on. And then, again, it's going to be a slow mint, but that's okay. Like it's okay to be a slow mint. I'll just keep marketing it. But these are very popular right now. These protocols are extremely popular. Parks and Recs, you asked if there is a W bond pool in Glacier Dex. No, we won't have single asset pools like that. Brandon, there is no backup plan. If nobody buys the NFTs, then nobody buys the NFTs. The plan remains the same for Frozen Walrus and its core features. Second collection.
G2.
Yeah, like I understand what you're saying, like Brando, like the worst case scenario. So then no miners. Yeah, if there's no NFTs to give out mining rewards, then it wouldn't be. I don't understand what you mean. There would be no reason for there to be miners if no one owns the NFTs in the first place. D-Money, you'll see more about that very soon, but that will come after the Glacier Fi is released. Yeah, I mean, I try and understand what Brando's saying. Like, yeah, I guess the worst case scenario, nobody mints, but then there would be no miners because there wouldn't need to be miners because there's no NFTs in place. And then honestly, if we're not minting out of phase one, again, like if we look at places like Hydro Wells and other things, like there is slower mints. Their price is a little bit higher, but there were slower mints to start out, and that's okay. But we'll have a clear vision for what these NFTs can do, and then we'll start hitting the market with it. So if nobody mints, then nobody mints. But we've had a lot of interest in them, so I think that we have a good chance of it of minting out eventually, right? Like it's an eventuality that we mint out if people see it being worked, and obviously the benefits of being in earlier is it's cheaper. But they are nice NFTs as well. The art looks fantastic. But yeah, it was either that or just let them sit until we got a partnership that was confirmed and then do a GameFi. And I just think that this is better. Yeah, Parks. It has a farm until we reach 1.15. Brando, you got to buy at least 10. So it will have an oracle that tracks the price, so it'll always be $100 of whatever LP asset we use. But yeah, so this accomplishes a couple things. It makes the assets more bullish on Frozen Walrus, obviously, but it also gives you as investors a way to offload some of your assets if you have been, if you've been in for a while and you want a way to get more sustainable income. That this could potentially be that. Obviously, you can't open up a farm at your own house without a huge upfront cost of $144,000. The benefit of doing this is you get a small piece of it, and it gets bigger and bigger. It's nice to hear, JC. Yeah, and if like say we open it and like don't get discouraged because again these do sometimes take time. Maybe it doesn't, and maybe people take to it and they want KDA miners or they want access to it. It's a beautiful model and it has real revenue that doesn't require the treasury involvement of like, oh shit, we need to buy back these tokens, right? It's just being produced because we're the miners. So it's nice in that regard as well. But that's the good news, is that this guy can have them up and running. C17 can have them up and running, within 5 days if he needed to. He has all of the people ready and on the line. He was just waiting for someone to be able to produce the vision, and Frozen Mars took him up on it. And also, he's going to be fully doxed to me, and there will be completely clear transactions about what everything is being used and who's being paid and stuff. So, no, it's in NZ, Minnesota, New Zealand. $100 is the starting mint fee, and then it goes up to $200 by phase 4. Ziv. And also, Narwhal's pegged, which is pretty fucking cool. They do indeed, temper-wise. Additional utilities than the utility it's already producing, not so savvy. I mean, maybe we can implement something else, like games and stuff with them, of course. But like their main utility would be that they are a piece of a mining rig. Louisiana, how long is vesting time until you get reward? It really depends on community votes. You'll vote every month if you want to disperse rewards or compound, but it's probably preferable that we compound for quite some time. So we may have like a default of X amount of months of us compounding for sure before we allow voting. So it could be 3 to 6 months. So it is a longer term play. No, Jorbo, the reason we can't use W bonds or illiquid assets is because we need the USDC to pay for the miners. So it can't be illiquid assets. KDA, correct. Shill. I didn't see this, Owen. What'd you say? What are you going to have in place to secure funds or truly safe food? So I'll be on multi-sigs with everything, with C17 and some other team members. And then honestly, the transfer of KDA and stuff will go to a KDA wallet that I likely own, and I'll disperse the funds and transfer them and bridge them. But if not, like C17 will be fully doxed to me. And so, you know, it's somebody that I didn't just like find on the street. Like I do know C17. He works with Grape extensively. He works with LB extensively. It's somebody that I know. No, I did not mute Owen.
No, sorry, I keep rugging myself by accident. I'm like navigating between my computer and my phone, and it keeps like switching me between the apps. So I'm phone only now and good to go.
All right. Sir Smokes a lot. Would you ever consider Compounder to bring Walrus TWAP above peg? Another protocol has one that kicks in at 0.8 TWAP. I think you're referring to the rebase mechanic in Champion Finance. No, I will not be implementing that. Mainly
It is cool though.
Yeah. Mainly they'll be Valens. Miners will be able to farm other tokens beside KDA, right? So the reason we chose KDA is because it's newer, so it is higher risk than like Bitcoin or something. But we can accumulate much faster because we'll have a vast majority of the hash rate. So we'll have early access to a lot of the KDA, and if we compound enough, and it does catch on like we intend it to, then obviously we'll have, whenever it does get more difficult, we'll have a surplus of KDA. And let's see. 2,500 JC would be needed for the first. Can we have an NFT on YouTube and not the spreadsheet? I don't know what you mean. Yes, Rocket, correct. KDA does increase in difficulty, and if you can see on what I have on YouTube here on my screen, it shows the increase in KDA mined. So we would initially start with about 196 getting mined per day. That would, in about a year or two, with the projected difficulty go to about 98, but we'd have to assume price appreciation at that point, unless, of course, KDA is no longer, which would be one of the risks. What else? Can we kidnap Elon? No. Yeah, sorry. I'm trying to make it clear. It looks clear on my end, but obviously I'm not watching the stream, so I can make a screenshot of it. Hold on. I can do that. This is a model of one farm. So one farm is what we'll be buying with our phase 2, or our phase 1, sorry. Yeah, and again, the timeline for this is roughly 1 to 2 weeks to get the paper out about where all the money's going, and then also to get the lease agreement for the spot that he has. And then obviously a certain percentage of these fees would go to C17 for upkeep, but it's very minimal. He's honestly probably losing money based on the amount of time he'll have to upkeep these for quite some time. So he's long-term in this because obviously he'll make more, if KDA were to rocket because he's getting a certain amount of these fees. What else we got? Yeah, we will have that, JC. We'll have a full-on earned by each and everything else. It gets complicated because we're going to be compounding the initial, and then if we actually mint out faster than we thought, then we'll be able to purchase more farms, more leases, and then obviously upscale much faster. But we can have price points for what it would be if it was like worst case scenario. We are buying the KD6 SEs. Have we got power price locked in for the first year or two? Yes. Whenever he gets the lease, it will be a static price. Let's see what else we got. I would have to get with them Heaven's Gate on that, on the increasing power price, and if we need to obviously model that in our system. Kadena fast miners are significantly cheaper than Gold Shell KD6 miners with the same hash rate. I'll let C17 know that. I'll pin that real quick because we're having another meeting tomorrow. So when do we want to launch the miners? We want to get them as early as possible. So I'd love for phase 2 to conclude this month or next, but it really depends. But we want the miners now because they're cheaper than ever. I think they're like 8,000 a piece. But I will look into that, Larry. Yeah, so Magic Owen said it because we've talked about it. Will this NFT collection ultimately help Frozen Walrus move to 100% protocol-owned share liquidity? That's kind of what we're thinking. If we own the amount of share liquidity that there is, there's really no whales playing on the share emissions, and then we could turn off the share, right? We could turn off the share and boost Walrus completely, and the Treasury will own all of that. So it would be nice to see. So that's kind of what we're thinking if we do Walrus share. Obviously, Walrus share would appreciate in value quite extensively because the Treasury would own it all, and there would be no way to get it. So yeah, you can imagine that it could get quite big if we can mint out. But it's always ifs, right? And we're not rushing it. This is just what we want to do with our NFTs. It's a great model, and it really benefits Frozen Walrus. And it's a true revenue for the Treasury. It's a true revenue source from you all completely past the Tomb Fork side, right? If you trust in me and you trust in KDA, then you know that you're in a good position here. So yeah, I guess hopefully you all understand why we would use Walrus Share originally, because like again, the price appreciation from owning most of the float in Walrus Share would mean that the APRs go up a substantial amount, and then Walrus will do its own thing. But even if not, right, the share is very powerful to own for the protocol. No, JC, if we go with what we're thinking, we're doing Walrus Share LP. And again, that's not confirmed, but that's our original thought because me and Owen were talking about the benefits of owning most of the liquidity for Walrus Share. You got to think if the Treasury owns all of Walrus Share LP, we kind of control most of the protocol at that point. And again, that's not a completely solid plan. That's just our play right now. I don't want to say that because I don't want people to just start mooning Walrus Share because they're just wanting to ape into shit and try and like front run it. Because it'd be cool to keep it at this price so that we can own more of it. I don't like the term algo stables Heaven's Gate. I think that a tomb fork is no longer what Frozen Walrus will become. Fundamentally, it will be, a tomb fork or a Cinorge model at its base, right? But we'll have so many features of what you can do. We'll have, that contract that everybody talks about that they wanted me to get, so I got it. That's coming out in after Glacier. We'll have Glacier revenue. We'll have NFT revenue. We'll have a bunch of different models that play into the tomb fork well, is my opinion. Yeah, so I know if you're listening, I know we have a lesser crowd today. Well, some will be for sale, Crypto Gal, because there's still emissions going on, right? And then people have to buy into Walrus Share to buy the LP. Yeah, exactly. They're buying the liquidity. Owen does a better job of explaining that kind of stuff than me. That's why he's on the core team. Owen, speak about it. What's the can you explain the benefits of owning Walrus Share?
Of owning liquidity?
Of owning Walrus Share liquidity.
Oh, well, I mean, owning liquidity is especially helpful if you also have control over the float. So the issues you run into with inflationary tokens is that people run for the door because they're trying to forecast when the next supply shock is going to come, because you have these tokens getting emitted as incentives. So like you wouldn't necessarily see those values reflected in real time in the chart. They wouldn't hit the order book in the same way. So psychologically, investors don't necessarily consider them as part of the fundamental value. Like the chart might stay flat, even though, the real value of those tokens is increasing just based on, or like the value of the people who have positions in the protocol is obviously increasing. So what you can do by owning your liquidity is, one, you can decrease the incentives you're emitting, the amount of shares you're emitting, because you no longer have to incentivize the share LP in the first place because the protocol owns it. So that's great. So between that, the accumulation of a lot of the float through the liquidity pairs, you will end up with a situation where Walrus can just it would all own a lot of its own supply. It already does, in fact. I mean, there is a lot of float. There is still Walrus Share that I imagine will get dumped because what LHB is introducing with the KDA miner thing and a number of the other things. He's talking about these are, longer term plays that are sort of less reliant on, inflation, like hyperinflation to generate yield. They are a different sort of mindset for an investment, which will obviously attract a certain kind of investor. Maybe some people will get lost along the way because they're looking for, 2% APR a day. That's fine, because ultimately those people are going to be looking to extract liquidity from the protocol at the earliest opportunity possible. And obviously, from a protocol perspective, that is not the kind of person you want to be involved in a protocol that's trying to get to a place to fund its own incentives via revenue. And I personally, I think LHB is really strong at a lot of things. I see a couple of things that I think this community, or rather this protocol, could be just doing a little bit differently that are going to ultimately add a lot of value. So what I'm hoping to do is just sort of advise LHB and help him, help clear the way for him to do what he does best.
Yeah.
And so I will
Behind
be,
closed doors,
around
Owen
to provide
is
support where I can.
yeah. So Owen behind closed doors is like amazing at like giving me all these crazy suggestions that fundamentally make the protocol better, right? And I'm thinking like a lot of times I get stuck in my head of how can I protect my investors, and so while doing that, it comes, and I know it's a self-realization moment, but like it comes to know that sometimes my proactiveness or what I'm doing to help the investor is honestly hurting the protocol and the investor at the end of it, right? And so what Owen is amazing at is thinking fundamentally, what can you change to not increase the price, but increase the actual use case of the actual tokens, to increase the demand of the tokens. And so that kind of stuff is something that I just lack knowledge of the depth of it, and Owen is amazing at it. And so,
well, I think part of this skews to the fact that you are sort of a sweet summer child, LHB. Like your protocol was performing so well for so long. There are a lot of things that you were never sort of like forced to consider because you didn't have any sort of like bank run liquidity contractions like we did. Like we've had like 4 in our history because like there have been several occasions where we will sort of like regain health and then either Phantom will nuke or like some whale will just market dump. So like we've just sort of gotten to the place where we're dead inside and been slow playing our real revenue generating businesses and like development on the project. And I would just like, for myself, I would urge investors or people who are looking to operate in this space to look around at the teams right now. Like how many are left, and and of the ones that are left, how many are sort of like going MIA in comms and development, and who are the teams who are doubling down? Because when I look at LHB and these guys, I see a team that is going to, everything is experimental in this space. You can't make any guarantees, but one thing I have a very high degree of confidence in is that LHB and these guys are going to do everything they can to make this to make this work and figure out what kind of pivot needs to happen to get this protocol to a position of stability and strength. And I think it's totally doable. I think there's a lot of ways that the protocol is actually in a really strong position, even though the chart doesn't suggest that. And I think we can, if we want to talk about that, I can go more into that later and to explain sort of my reasoning there. But yeah, I mean, I'm personally very excited. I think I am a little more ruthless than LHB when it comes to, sort of like defending the protocol and defending liquidity. I know he's really sensitive to like helping the community out in every step, and we all love that about him. I am sort of like, of the mind that the goal of any sort of protocol in this kind of environment is to survive. And that means protecting the runway you have so that you can keep developing and like create something that has real value. Because ultimately that's what drives the value of your tokens, not repegging them.
Yep. And you actually told me when I started PCP, you warranted against it. And, I did it because of, I think it was that I needed that sentiment shift. And in hindsight, it wasn't like a terrible idea. Like I don't completely regret like doing it. I do regret spending the amount of money we have from the treasury, but we still have a substantial sum, and we're still able to build and produce things. And we still have a very deep community that is very active and engaged. So there's still so much opportunity here, and people oftentimes do look at the chart, but I think it's best to take into account who, like Ellen said, who is still here. I talk to you guys every day. Like I will make this work, right? I have everything riding on it. Not just because I have everything riding on it.
That's the other thing. Just like the thing about whales, especially in this kind of environment, like it's a risk-off environment. People are trading volatility right now, but there's also a place for long bets. And there are always whales who are like trying to be early in and like VC into startups. So, what my goal is with the protocol is how do we construct the mechanics in such a way that make the tokens really, really resilient, so that my goal with the Glacier DEX, and I know that isn't really what we're talking about, is how do you create a always up DEX token. So that's my goal with that protocol. But more on that later.
We've
really
been
excited to be here.
Yeah, me and Owen hashed out like a 3 or 4 hour meeting about the tokenomics structure. And we leaned heavily on some big ones, and then he looked at the tokenomics and thought about how he could change them to, like he said, make an only up DEX token, not a farm and dump token. And so
I mean, it's not only up, but it's going to be very hard it's going to be really hard to nuke. It's going to be very difficult.
This DEX
it won't have the supply shock.
This DEX isn't for DeFi degens. It's an actual DEX that's going to be used, right? It's a platform for people to host liquidity, make some extra gains on some assets they want to hold, and trade freely, and on a really powerful system that is the balancer system. And I think people might underestimate us now, but once they see it produced, I have a really strong feeling that it will be something special with the team that we have, because I think that Magic is an amazing team. That's why I still only use them for our compounding. And I think that us coming together, we already work really well together. Avery's in here all the fucking time. I don't know what he actually does either, but I know that he's an amazing community member here. And so we have Avery, we have Owen, Vincent, Jimmy. Like we have the perfect merriment of our team to really go balls to the wall and produce something. So yeah, I'm really happy. I'm really happy to have them. I'm really happy to have these KDA miners. Like I'm just happy with where we're at. Maybe not price wise. Trust me, I'm hurting too. I still own a large, significant position of LP and everything else. But I'm long on Frozen Walrus because I have to be. You don't have to be. So you have to make that decision yourself. If you want to capitulate Walrus and sell it, then do it. We're still going to be here and building and finding ways to make it sustainable, and pivoting until something works, right? And you don't get that a lot in DeFi. There's a lot of uncertainty, but the only uncertainty that you don't have to have is that is Lame Hillbilly going to stop talking to us? Because I'm going to fucking do this every week. Right now, we only have Trader Joe as a DEX on AVAX. Do you see Glacier Fi taking over Trader Joe in years to come? Yes. Owen said, if we're going to build it, we're going to try and beat the top one on the chain. You guys can go look at what
That's not what I said at all.
No, Owen said, we're not building it unless we can beat Trader Joe.
I said, I don't want to build this DEX unless the object is to kill them.
Yeah, so we have to. It's a
Yeah.
challenge. Now, but like not like kill, but I think that there's liquidity that can be better used in different dexes with new opportunities. And
Kill Joe. Hashtag that.
I wanted to
Yeah,
kill
that's
Joe
it.
long before. Yeah, fuck that.
Glacier. Hashtag Glacier. Hashtag kill Joe.
Hashtag Joe caught in a glacier. Hashtag old man Joe finally gets it from the glacier. Glacier killed. No, don't do that for real. We're not trying to start like drama like that shit.
No, we want to work with them probably.
We want all the fucking smoke.
We wanted the smoke.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
No, we don't want the smoke. We're just building a platform that we see as beneficial to AVAX as an ecosystem. And you know, we're gonna build it as big as we want, and we're gonna be ruthless in growing it.
Ruthless.
Yeah. Now you got to understand, Rob Bear, is that I can also do a lot of marketing now. Now that the Dex isn't based off sentiment or education, the Dex is based off are people using it or not. So I think it's cool. Also, I really feel like this community got caught lacking not putting rocket emojis on Walrus or Walrus Share anymore. And it's kind of pissing me off. We have 1,830 on Walrus Share and puny amounts at 1,695 on Walrus. You know, I'm doing it every day, but I can't do it alone, guys. I really wish you'd pick up the pace. Because that ain't it. You know what I mean? If we actually got that to 2,000, Walrus might be pegged right now. And you all got caught lacking.
Is that financial advice?
Yeah, it is. Fucking full send it.
2,000 rocket emojis means the peg token's pegged.
Fucking full send that. If we get 2,000, that's the Harry Yay group, Discord group looks for those. Who will the Glacier devs be? So Jumpman, my beautiful best friend / dev / front end / back end, Jumpman, Vincent, and Jimmy.
I'm a dev too.
And
I'm I'm the dumbass dev who doesn't know code.
Well, then I'm also a dev because I'm in the same boat.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jimmy showed me stuff. Rob Bear, there's a lot of dexes that work a heck of a lot better than Trader Joe. UI wise, I guess. Spirit Swap's really good. Or Spooky Swap. I also have Visual
Spirit
Studio
just
Code.
did their V2. It's pretty cool.
Are you talking about Trader Joe?
Worth checking out.
Or
No, Spirit Swap just
Spirit
did
Swap.
their V2. It's worth checking out.
Yeah, you were telling me about it yesterday. It's pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, there's plenty of dexes, but this also just isn't a dex. The amount of platform that we can have for like launch padding new projects with the liquidity bootstrapping pools, which we'll learn about later, is pretty cool. We can generate a lot of good liquidity for new projects that are actually legit. It's not like a launch pad where it's pre-sale, by the way. It's not like that. But yeah, so we can really get some new liquidity for some cool projects and take all the fees. Trader Joe was actually the first dex I ever used. And I thought it was clean until I used other dexes.
Wasn't it traderjoe.xyz when you first showed it to me? I was like, that's not a real website. Stop that.
Yeah, I think it's still Trader Joe XYZ.
You're
That's
going to
what
get
I
hacked.
use.
No, it's traderjoexyz.com now.
Glacier, the first high dex fee. Yeah, we're looking to take 5 to 10% fees on every transaction. Easy wins. I'm kidding. We're not fucking doing that. Radio Shack swap. Wasn't that bought by Ty Lopez? He bought a bunch of companies that were dead brick and mortars and turned them online. Yeah, Rob Air, what was back in the day? Yesterday?
Yeah, Avery wants to be on the podcast for just reading ads, I believe.
Oh, cool.
One of my really good friends who I work with on like music stuff, like cues and stuff, a lot out here does. He does voiceover work. He has one of these like deep, sort of like greetings from blah, 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 like one of those kind of announcer voice. So if you ever need like
What? No way. I've actually
somebody
been thinking
to
about
do
having
some epic
somebody do
intros,
that.
yeah, he'll do it for free. He'll
I
hook
want
you
I
up.
want to do like a voiceover video for Glacier Finance.
He'll be so down.
Really?
He lives like 5 minutes away from me, so you can just come by my studio and do it.
What? That would be so awesome because I wanted it to be like in a world, and then like explain the Glacier shit. You know, that would
Yeah,
be cool.
no, that he has that voice. He has like the voice for that.
Dude, that's gonna be awesome.
Avery is having an absolute meltdown.
Fuck your friend. Oh no.
Is that all the alpha?
I think that's the majority of alpha. Yeah.
Avery's starting his own radio show and Team 4.
Yeah. I mean, look, listen, guys. I know the price is down, but like, oh, hold on. I'm out in this motherfucker. 6BE, which he's been muted for a week in the chat. Like, this is the kind of shit. Like when we were up, I was telling people this. It's like when we were up, everybody thought that I was some mythical legend, which I really wasn't. I'm just the same person I was, except my prices are down, so everybody views me different. So this guy said after he got muted, he said, "Stop working behind the scenes and show us the progress. I am literally invested all in this project. I need to know what's going on. You guys should update us, but you never do. Announcements are empty. Not all people check AMA. You have to understand that. This will end up as Snowy Owl if you don't play it right." Hold on, I'm not done.
Damn.
Hold on,
He's
I'm not
cutting
done.
deep.
He said more utility and hype is needed, so fix it. Dude, I know you see this message because I didn't respond to him. So just do it and stop playing games and being with your fucking project. You got a project to run. All right. Get your wife to take care of your kids and all you got more important things to do. You guys get on average 2 accounts per day to the server. You need new people. At least 200 per day, at least. Get fucking hype, dude. You're playing this wrong. I can help you, no worries. I've ran many successful projects. Just an idea. I can make this project go to all-time high again, and you clearly don't, so you should listen to me.
He runs successful projects all over the place, but he's all invested here, so.
So, yeah. And so that's what I'm up against, ladies and gentlemen. So I know the prices are down, but are you getting that fucking shit in your DMs? No.
Or here's the thing: that guy has to sell.
Yeah, like he wants exit liquidity.
That guy needs to sell his tokens for us to go up again.
Yeah, no, 100%.
So
100%. He sounds nice. Yeah, I guess. He trolls in the chat all day.
if you're listening, sell your tokens.
Yeah, I don't know if he can get in here if he's muted from the server or. But
Tagged
maybe.
him.
But
I'm petty
anyway,
like that.
fundamentally,
There's
you know,
just I'm sorry to interrupt,
Go
LHP.
ahead.
There was just something I remember when I was, for those who don't know me, I had a band back. I lived in Boston, and we primarily based on the East Coast, but we were doing like 200 shows a year, and we sort of like obviously we're running into issues with scale because you can't really like do more shows than that or much more shows than that. So you have to figure out how you get better clients. And I remember a mentor of mine telling me that like, you have to fire some of the clients you have to get the clients you want. And I think that's true with investors too. Like investors who are looking just to scalp shit and like exploit illiquidity premiums to market dump on plebs, like those people need to go. So let them fucking sell their tokens. It's fine. Like LHB, like these guys have a treasury that's flush with capital and a fucking amazing development plan. I'm fine if these tokens go down because the value is in the team, not in the chart. That's my view anyway.
I think at NanoCaps, it really does. It is the team, right? Is the team pivoting? Like these are small startups. Is the team pivoting? Is it like if I had stayed static to my roadmap and never fucking faltered, we'd be much lower prices. If I didn't do a lot of the shit that I was going to do, then we'd be at much different prices. I'm pivoting as demand, as is needed, or what I think is needed. If it ends up not working out, I did my best. But I honestly think, like, just with the miners themselves, the amount of capital that we can raise over time for these miners for you as an investor is pretty cool. And once you see the numbers, hopefully you'll feel more comfortable. With if you want to decide whether to invest. But the main majority of what is described today is that these revenue services fundamentally change how we can play Walrus as the core team. We have a lot more options, and we rely a lot less on new investors. And the more and more times that we rely on less investors, the difference it can make in what a new investor can do for the protocol, right? Because now new investors are coming in. We don't need them, but it's cool to have them. And then the prices are valued different. So it's pretty cool. And I'm very happy with the amount of things that are being discussed. I'm extremely happy to have Owen, Avery, and Jimmy and Vincent in close quarters, closer than we already were, and working intricately with each other.
I have to make it weird.
No, it's going to get weirder. There's not a lot of people that you trust in this space, and me especially. I'm very cautious about everything. Even Owen, when he first reached out to me about Frozen Walrus getting listed on Magic, I had to ask somebody else about him. He can tell you. And I don't know if he was offended by that, but I did it because I don't know. I don't know people's intentions until you really rub shoulders with them all day, every day. And I rub shoulders with some fucking degenerate pieces of shit that suck. And Avery's not all that bad. But realistically, I really have a lot of trust in Owen. I really have a lot of trust in Avery and their entire team. And so I'm just bullish on that. I'm bullish that I have a team that can produce things. I'm bullish that we have capital to do the things that are needed. And sure, we might have short-term temporary pain during the month of September and maybe the next month after that. But overall, we have a better outlook on what we can do. And we have a lot more flexibility in the direction we want to take it. Yeah, Dino said in the YouTube chat, Walrus shares at a great discount now. Personally, I'm thinking people are just worried that September is always not good for crypto. Rec Timber, what's the best token strategy for accumulation now? Honestly, I think that has to be your decision before I bite myself in the ass. All the tokens are great. I don't want to recommend one token or the other. So with the Kadena miners, how is the KDA being integrated with AVAX? C17 knows a way to get it back on chain through AVAX. So it'll all be through tax and hashes that you'll be able to track. And then we'll be able to distribute that through like L1s like USDC or whatever else. No, Avery's 200%.
I've got Walter's assistant for the week.
No, so like us further integrating with each other means that we're assisting each other in a couple different areas. Like they're not taking any time off of what they're doing. The way that we've developed this is that they're helping us, but it's not taking time away from their project because Magic has a lot of things coming up as well. Robert, I really hope not. That would fucking suck.
I read Bank of America was saying 50-point hike this month and next month, and then 25 for December, and then they're going to stop. But that's just what Bank of America said.
Yeah, what does Bank of America know?
Yeah, what do they know?
Yeah, Minnesota. So we'll probably have like a lock of like no voting for like the first 3 to 6 months, just so that we can compound and get as many mining farms. Because like you could see the scalability of this, and that's at KDA at a very low point because we're in the bottom, nearing the bottom, not the bottom probably, of Bitcoin. And until that gets up, then we get cheaper prices. So if you're long in DeFi and you also enjoy KDA, it's going to be a great exposure to the asset. Well, the asset's growth. Obviously, you'll get paid much different. Yeah, we do have a lot of interested parties in these NFTs. The NFTs look great. So it's not like some little shit NFT that we're just like tossing up. Like they took real work to produce these NFTs. It's a very good product in itself if you like collecting NFTs. But past that, they'll have some really cool utilities. And you know, I'm excited because now we're gonna have like Glacier and these NFTs all on the same time. There's a lot to be excited about, in my opinion, or I'm excited. Yeah, Boggs, this is a model that's similar to Hydra Wells, obviously. There's a lot of people that do it. There's Blockchain Miners Club. I think there's even a KDA Miners Club. But yeah, I think it's cool to get access to KDA because the difficulty right now is so low. Indy Jones, you'll get it back in Walrus LP. I would consider farming that with the auto compounder. But you know, you have to make that decision yourself, I guess. But that's, if you want to be long on Frozen Walrus, that's one way to do it. All right, guys. So what can you expect as far as like movement on things? Me and Owen and everybody are doing a group meeting soon, but we're going to be doing tokenomics and getting the white paper out. And then, you know, as far as contracts, most of the contracts are open source, but we're still looking to probably, you know, a month out at least so that we can make sure, you know, it's a secure protocol. And I feel comfortable with you all investing.
The tokenomics are going to be flipped considerably from the ones that Balancer implemented.
Correct.
To optimize for like a lower liquidity environment where we're not trying to launch like a million LP pairs. It's going to be initially very focused on building liquidity for the farm token. But again, more info on this when the white paper is out.
Yep. And so we'll have that released as soon as me and Owen can finalize it. It is a lot of moving parts, and I have to do it in a way that I feel like everybody can understand it. And then these NFTs, honestly, we just got to get the white paper out. And as far as the white paper, it just shows you like budgeting, where every cent is going to go from your investment, when you can expect returns, the voting event and how it will take place. And then we'll set up a new section in the chat specifically for this, whatever we call it. If anybody has any ideas of what to call it, let me know. Obviously, Walrus has to be in the name. But yeah, so we can get a mint function pretty soon, within like a week or so. Hopefully, if Jumpman's not too busy with the website redesign, which is another thing to talk about. Jumpman has been working on the complete website redesign. He has all the assets. He's ready to go. He's just working through it and making a completely custom TuneFork website. So that's pretty cool. His plate's full. The Walrus Huddle. I like it. Yeah, so I'll make an announcement this weekend at some point to turn off the taxes. There will be a 24-hour notice, and then, you know, we'll remove them at that point. And then anybody that wants to exit can exit. And I think at this point, now that Walrus is down, the Treasury will have to fund some Walrus because there's less Walrus in the contract that is needed to make all of the LP. So sadly, the Treasury will have to invest a little bit more Walrus, but that's okay. Again, if everybody sells, I have plans to buy it all back, so it's all good.
You ready for Walter's assistant?
Yeah, you got an idea?
Oh, I had it last week. This week's Walter assistant is somebody who's been here from the jump, and honestly should have had it a lot earlier, but
You cut out. Hello? Did I cut out? Oh shit, I cut out. What did you say? Say it again.
I haven't announced it yet. I was doing like a whole
No, say it
thing
again.
and just kind of run the flow.
Say it again.
So this guy's been with us since Snow and Box. I honestly thought he was already a Walter's assistant. He should have had it a long time ago. Minnesota Richard, man, you've just been an awesome just an awesome friend to the protocol, friend to me, friend to Austin. Yes. So congratulations. Send me your wallet. You deserve it, bro.
Minnesota, thank you, because he reached out to me in private with all kinds of ideas as well. So he goes outside of the norm that you need to as a community member, and that's the kind of people we like as Walter's assistant. So thank you. Yeah, so let me touch on that again. The PCP2 was only going to be successful if we had uptrends in walrus share. Otherwise, people were just going to start dumping their walrus share as well. And it was only going to be effective at like 0.9 or above TWAP. So people felt like they were inclined to. But right now, I feel like it'll just be used to drain more liquidity from the treasury. So we're going to pause that idea. We'll leave it up, of course. But right now, we're just going to let it go to max pain if it wants to. If people choose to sell at these low prices, that's okay. Because we're building a protocol that's going to last a little bit longer than next month. So. What else we got? Yeah, exactly, Boggs. Because we already have the longevity in place and things we want to do with the liquidity. And since we're so low cap, with all of the things that we want to do, eventually we'll get there so that we can own a large portion of it. And the people that were long on it will prosper, hopefully. Yeah, again, Valence, if we do Peg Defender, that was something that I was considering. But for now, we're going to table it. What did you say? What happens when rewards aren't paid via inflation and there's no float left to sell? I think that sounds like sneeze. Sneeze. No, the thing to know about burning is that burning or in the treasury is the same thing. It's off the circulating supply. Yeah, true. If you trust the team, that is very true. Because that can get dumped real quick. But I think I've shown some enough. A root beer float? I've never had a root beer float. Whoa, Walter came in hot. Could you implement locking for some if it ends up supply capped? Yeah, for sure. I think it's a great idea. I think it's good to know that your investment will not be the same today as it will be in 3 to 6 months, right? Like what you're invested in, what it can do for you, what the protocol will look like. None of it will be the same in 3 to 6 months. What we do know is that it will still be getting built to some extent. So I'm going to keep flipping on its head and talking to the smartest people that I know and keep trying. So I guess this is it. This is the end. Great AMA that didn't have as good of a turnout, but I thought it was a really great AMA for what we had. So with that being said, thank you to Owen, the team, for coming up today. Thank you all for joining me in building Glacier. And I really appreciate it. Let's see. Birch beer. I don't know too much about beer since I don't drink it anymore.
I've never had a birch beer.
So with that being said, I'll do my final closing. As Owen said, I just try to be a good guy, and I just want everybody to do something positive in the world. Try not to be negative. Negative is just a window into your soul of why you're not doing good. You're projecting. Quit being negative. Quit being a nuisance on people. do better and be positive. Help somebody out, walk a grandma across the road, make you feel better, especially touch grass. Yeah, and fucking, if you don't want to be here and you're not here for the long term and riding this bear market out with me, that's all right. Get the fuck out. We're gonna build and we'll burn it or take up all the supply eventually. It's whatever you want to do. You know, if you want to go invest in a random team, go invest in a random team. But if you're here now, then you know you're invested in a team that's going to be here. And I'm going to be in DeFi for a long time, unless I go to jail, which would suck. So it'd be like a real mafia thing at that point, wouldn't it, Boggs? I'm sending telegrams to Dylan, sending him Morse code through the phone.
I don't think I guess I'd have to, huh?
Yeah, that's the thing, is like, that should be a small portion of your portfolio. And what I want to do is make Frozen Walrus the bigger portion, and you're invested in it for what we're doing. And it takes time. That's all. We had a great 3 months, but it's time to get back to how we can make Frozen Walrus a better protocol. Damn, or ask me anything. Chats are always popping, man. It's fun. But thank you guys. Thank you. Thank you all so much for attending. I really appreciate it. I hope you got some good information. We'll try, and Dylan's going to post this up in the
Already posted.
previous Ask Me Anything. Oh, okay. Well, I think
Done.
we should make an announcement on it. Just do an at everyone, and then do previous Ask Me Anything topics. I think that would help. Have them like front and foremost.
And I can do one better than.
Damn, this motherfucker's groovy.
I'm vibing right now, I'm not gonna lie.
Dude, I'm telling you, 80s synthwave is my shit. Oh, and you would have a great voice to do some like old school 80s synthwave singing. One dev. I know that problem.
I thought Avery was a dev.
I don't know if Avery knows what he is. Chat dev.
I added everyone at the previous AMAs.
Cool. Damn, we're on Ask Me Anything number 18. Holy shit, man.
Yeah, that's number 18.
Sorry, LHB. What were you asking?
I can't even remember.
If you can sing over an 80s synth song.
Yeah, man.
Oh
like,
yeah,
this kinda,
there already exist tracks on Spotify of me doing that.
Do you like 80s synthwave?
It suits a certain vibe. I mean, I live in California, so like cruising down the PCH, yeah, it's definitely a look. I was into like shoegaze a good bit.
What is that?
Which kind of like synthwave with guitars.
Oh, cool. I don't know. I've always loved this like stylized approach of like neon everywhere, like Blade Runner-esque aesthetic. Like, I don't know why, but it gets me, man. Like, I don't know. I just really like retro shit.
Yeah, it's dope. I just like personally, I miss the low end that you get from like more modern sounding shit. Like whenever I listen to those like synthwave tracks, the low end just, I don't know, it doesn't do the thing to my genitalia that lower from a record.
Yeah. Well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. I'll let everybody go on with
That's
their
the
weekend.
note we end on? Holy shit.
Hell yeah, it is. That's the last thing in this Ask Me Anything. And it's perfect. So enjoy your weekend. I will make some I'll make some announcements on stopping the PCP tax, and you guys, you degenerates, can get your tax out after receiving 0.6% daily for 3 weeks. You can take it out, and we'll just keep building. And God bless the Walrus family.
How about that, Apple? That I just posted.
What'd you post? Oh, nice. Dude, did you see my video I made that one time? I could do the same thing with this.
You make so many videos, bro. I
Dude,
can't just
maybe
be
I should
expected to watch them all.
Maybe we should make Glacier Fi like old,
Just like a straight 80s theme.
like an 80s, like you know how like all the 80s had like those the skis, like ski slopes and shit. We should do like synthwave off of that. Owen, synthwave, do like blues and pinks for our color scheme.
Sorry, I was like fucking into the chat and totally wasn't listening. My bad.
Yeah,
Dude, Avery, I sent you like a folder with like 150 beads ages ago.
No, what I was saying was, what if we did like an 80s theme for Glacier Finance? And like, you know how like all the 80s and 90s movies were like, there was always like ski slopes and shit, or like there's old movies with like ski slopes. We do it like theme like that, but it's all blue and pink, like the synthwave vibe, with a little bit of Glacier in top. Really get.
Yeah.
Dude,
I feel like you should have like one page on the decks that doesn't do anything, that just has some like cool metaverse looking graphic and has some cheeky copy, which is like, this isn't a metaverse product, but this page is just to
hype you up,
show that we can make something that looks hype as fuck.
If you lose like a certain amount on a trade, it checks the chain and then like sends you there to make you happier.
Yeah. It's like, there's not a metaverse product, but this page got you interested, didn't it?
Yeah.
See how cool UI can make you like make stupid financial decisions.
Exactly. Like, look how dope that shit is, man. Like the wireframe modeling, I love that shit. Like, honestly, I'm going to the drawing book on it, boys. We're getting a synthwave Glacier 5 decks.
Got it.
Yeah, we should. Like, honestly, we have the funds and the technology and the devs. We got to do it. It would be like a huge shout out to me, like personally, because I love it so much. This is not a metaverse ad, but you like it. Or we could make it look like Trader Joe. Just like a complete fork of Trader Joe.
It's pretty 80s.
Yeah, I guess.
Puke beige.
Damn, we're hating on Trader Joe too much. Shouts out to Trader Joe. I just wish a motherfucker would talk to me once in a while.
Their Discord is just absolute atrociousness.
God damn, Dylan's going for throats.
It is. It's awful. Like, why even have one?
But no joke, if we're all down for that, like, I'm going to get with this designer and see if he can do it. But also, I think me and Jumpman could probably get like an initial thought and probably get the rest of it. We might not have to. If we just fork the front end and change color schemes, it'll have enough theming to it. True that. He did give you a lot of fucking work, Jumpman. Nobody's talking about Narwhal being pegged. I see a couple comments. But now our share token legit has the same value as any other pegged in Toonfork. Where's all the apes at, Owen? Why aren't people buying?
You know what's funny? I've mentioned this, but I don't think people realize this en masse, that Deck Screener inaccurately calculates the market cap of share tokens. For market cap, it lists the fully diluted valuation, which I don't know how much of your supply has been emitted. It's
20,
like under
000?
45%.
20,000, so 30%.
30%?
Yeah, we're 3 months
and what's
in.
the market cap?
Market cap is 1.1.
Okay, so 30. So you're at a little under 400K market cap for that token. Your liquidity's at what?
187K.
It's not bad. I mean, so here's the question: how much float does the treasury own? Do you own like a bunch of Waller share?
I can check actually while we're on here on live. Let's check. I haven't checked in a little bit. And let's see. So I guess we got to calc what's in LPC. So Walrus share, we have 769. And then we
Very nice.
And then we have another 800 staked. So what's that? 800 plus 7.
And then how much in liquidity?
1,600. We have 26. Oh, sorry. I almost said 26,000. We have another 700 in. So we have about 23 or 2,400 Walrus share.
Okay, so you
hold
own.
on. Plus another. We own about 3,000 because we have some in nodes.
Oh, gotcha.
3,000.
And then how much of the Waller share is like locked in liquidity via those nodes? A good amount, right? I mean, I would imagine with any sort of significant buy pressure, you're removing that Waller share from the LP. So like any sort of accumulation by the treasury in that period, this period is doing it at a like adjusted market cap if you're taking into account the amount of float the treasury owns and the amount of tokens that are locked. You're really doing it at a pretty small adjusted market cap. I would imagine it's probably adjusted to something around what the liquidity is currently at. So I think there's a misconception that people have right now that like the protocol isn't doing well because the chart isn't doing well, but like it's in a sort of, I mean, there may be more pain to come just because there are a lot of people who hold Walrus share tokens who bought them a lot higher and they are perhaps hurting, and maybe they're looking to get out and get access to that liquidity, and that's like totally understandable. And like you can't be mad at people for wanting that because people need access to their liquidity for a variety of reasons, and it's nobody's fault that they need their money. So this is something I like. You shouldn't get mad at people for selling tokens. Like it sucks to like buy something and have the price go down, but like everybody has their own reasons for making the decisions they made, and it's not worth it to fixate on the actions of whales, because if you set your protocol up properly and are being really ruthless about defending your liquidity, you shouldn't need to care what the strategies of your investors are, because that's kind of just up to them. And you're doing the things you need to do to make sure they can't just, lose in, the prisoner's dilemma every time and just extract value from the protocol and add none.
Yeah.
We're going to make sure that that's not possible.
Exactly.
Or very difficult.
Yep. You're being rewarded for being a holder. By the way, I don't know if you've heard of this, but I just bought this air gap wallet. I'll show it on YouTube. Let me see when it shows up. It's called Arculus, and it's like a credit card. And all you do is tap it. It's NFC tag to your phone, and it'll hold it holds pretty standard amounts of wallets of coins. Anyway, I figured I'd end off on that. It's kind of cool. I bought that, which was $100 instead of the Omega watch. So I'm a cheap date.
Cheap ass.
I'm a cheap date. But yes, that's it. Again, I've talked about it enough. We are going to end it here. Thank you all for enjoying the Ask Me Anything, hopefully. Thank you for being here. And we will see you next week. And hopefully with a lot more to show. And maybe almost about to start our NFT mints. Thank you, guys.